was the first night that I'd ever cried myself to sleep. Several days passed. I hadn't heard Joey's voice, and I was becoming depressed. Every morning that I woke up, I marked an X on the calendar Joey bought me. I counted the 7 X's aloud, with each one symbolizing the number of days Joey had been gone. My mom casually strolled into my room, ignoring the closed door, and dropped an envelope on the bed. I flipped the envelope over and noticed the familiar, feminine-style handwriting in the left corner. The return address stated it was from Josiah Hunter. Joey wrote me a letter, I thought, and almost tore it in half trying to get it open. Inside was a thin, colorful cardboard greeting card. It had a long, romantic poem printed throughout the trifold. Joey wrote a couple of sentences near the bottom and signed his name inside of a large heart. I felt thin, warm tears run down my cheeks and an immense sense of relief knowing that he was thinking of me. Every night after dinner since Joey left, I sat on my front porch alone, wishing for him. I stared at the moon or the stars or both, and hoped Joey was somewhere missing me as much as I missed him. I found that if I sat there and closed my eyes long enough, I could still hear Joey's voice and picture his smiling face. My mother opened the front door unexpectedly and startled me out of my reverie. With no words, she blankly handed me her cell phone and walked back in. "Hello," I said out of habit, unsure of who would call my mom's cell phone to talk to me. I heard Joey's voice for the first time in days, and my stomach started doing somersaults. His voice was quiet and raspy, like he wasn't supposed to be on the phone, but he sounded happy to make contact. We talked for about 5 minutes, yet it felt like only seconds.
"I'll call you next week,"
Joey promised before disconnecting. The 10-minute phone calls became the highlight of my week. Twice a week at 8 o'clock, like clockwork, Joey would call me. He'd ask me about school and life. He'd tell me about all the different types of training and drills he'd performed.
"It was a long week,"
he said, briefing me on his adventures. Even though his stories sounded exciting, his demeanor revealed that he was indefinitely homesick.
"I have good news, baby girl. I'm being sponsored. That means I'm coming home for Christmas, and I'm going to give you something real special."
He mentioned before the line disconnected. The week of Christmas had finally arrived, and it was a chilly December day. I wasn't exactly looking fashionable, wearing baggy black sweatpants and an old red sweater. I was lounging lazily on the couch watching a TV show when I heard a faint tapping sound at my front door. When I opened the door, I saw the person that was tapping ever so lightly. It was such a shock to see Joey in front of me again that I screamed and slammed the door shut right in his face. It took me about 3 seconds to gather my thoughts and reopen the door. When I did, I saw Joey standing there in his military uniform holding a large green bag. I quickly jumped into his arms, causing him to drop everything he was holding in order to catch me. We just stood there on my porch with our arms wrapped tightly around each other. My legs were snugly straddling his hips, and we never broke our kiss. Eventually, I let go and he eased me to the ground. He leaned down to pick up his duffel bag and smiled up at me. I walked him in and directed him to the sofa. We just sat there for a while, making plans to spend the entire day together. We both wanted to change, so I led Joey up the stairs, holding his hand. I graciously let Joey change in my bedroom, and I grabbed some clothes to change in the bathroom. I bent down to grab some jeans out of the bottom drawer of my dresser, and when I turned around to look back, Joey had already stripped down to his boxers. "I'm so sorry, I didn't realize that you'd already started changing," I said as I put my hands over my eyes and turned away. I felt Joey's arms come up from behind and wrap around the middle of me, pulling my body against his. He tried to pull my hands away from my eyes and leaned into me with his erection pushing into my back. Even though we'd already been intimate, once, I was still fighting the urge to tremble. Sir, my mom could walk in at any moment," I stated matter-of-factly and stepped forward to break the connection. I still, to this day, never told Hannah that I had sex with Joey. I was positive that she and my mother both thought I was still a virgin, and I wanted to keep it that way. I walked out and down the stairs to wait. I figured it was a safe enough distance away from Joey's fine ass, who was changing in my room. After we were both dressed, we walked down the stairs together. Joey looked amazing, per usual, and smelled like cologne. He drove us to the closest mall, and when we got there, it was packed. Holiday music played through the speakers, and little eateries produced delightful holiday smells. It was a madhouse, crazed with last-minute shoppers desperately trying to fulfill their Christmas lists. As soon as Joey and I entered the food court, I saw a group of girls I knew from class. This particular group of females were popular at my campus. They wore short, sleazy bodycon dresses, high heels, and stayed within their circle. They never once spoke to me outside of class. However, today they conveniently made an extended effort to come over and talk to me. I knew that they were just being nosy and wanted to find out who the sexy man was that I walked in with. I introduced him simply by his name with no title. I stood there for a few seconds to watch them drool over Joey. It was kind of awesome. Joey caught on quickly to what was happening, grabbed my hand, and kissed it right in front of them. We began our trek through the mall, walking in and out of all the popular stores. Neither of us showed the slightest interest in anything specific. Towards the middle of the mall, there was a small store that sold NFL jerseys. I followed Joey in so that we could browse. Joey spotted something he wanted from a high hanger and called over an associate. While we were waiting, Joey casually told me that he'd done some modeling in his teenage years. He also told me that he had appeared in local advertisements and even in a national commercial. I wasn't surprised. There was a jersey hung in front of the highest rack in the middle of the store. It was a black jersey with yellow stitching.
Excuse me, sir. Will you please get this down?
Joey asked, pointing at the item.
This one is very nice. Last one too.
The store clerk mentioned.
It's a medium. I need an extra large.
Joey said with a half smile.
We can probably order it for you.
The man suggested.
It won't be here before I gotta go back. It's okay. Why don't you put it on?
Joey said, handing it to me by the hanger. Joey pulled his cell out of his pocket and snapped a photo. We left the store without a purchase, but continued our journey through the rest of the mall. We stopped briefly at the store my mom worked at just to say hi. She was unusually busy today, helping customers pick out Christmas gifts for their families. After what seemed like hours of walking, we decided that we were both pretty beat. We said bye quickly to my mom and headed for the closest exit. On our way out, I spotted a photo booth. I grabbed Joey's hand and nearly dragged him over to the box. It was 5 pictures for $5. Each time the camera flashed, we did a different pose. Some were goofy, some were serious, but right before the last picture, Joey leaned over and kissed me on the cheek. That one ended up being my favorite. Christmas Eve morning, I wasn't even out of bed yet when I heard someone tapping on my bedroom door. I knew it wasn't my mom because she would have just barged right in. I opened the door with wild hair and raccoon eyes to find Joey standing there in his full military dress uniform. I could see through squinted eyes that he was holding a brilliantly wrapped box. I gave him a sarcastic closed-mouth smile, but really just wanted to die. I felt like the Hot Mess Express, and I knew for a fact that was exactly what I looked like. I hugged him and took the large box out of his hands. I knew it was a gift for me, and was so excited to see what was inside. I sat right there on the hallway floor and opened my present. Inside the box was a photo that Joey and I had taken right after one of my championship basketball games my senior year. Folded up neatly underneath was the Steelers jersey that I had tried on yesterday. "Thank you," I yipped, standing up on my tippy toes to give him a soft, closed mouth kiss, since I hadn't brushed my teeth yet. I led him downstairs because I could smell the aroma of food. My mom was busy in the kitchen making a big breakfast, and I was starving. "You guys can go sit at the table. The biscuits and gravy are almost done." My mom's...
You guys can go sit at the table. The biscuits and gravy are almost done.
My mom said between singing lines of her favorite Christmas song. Hannah was already in the living room watching a movie, also still in her pajamas. "You need any help, Mom?" I asked.
Nope. Almost done now, sweetheart. Thanks, though.